Hi guys, happy Friday. I just want to talk about what's on my mind a little bit lately, and of course it's my field, it's my job. Corona has affected everyone's job, but I want to give a little bit of background. So, I'm from Georgia. Actually, let me do this first. I want to say that my 16 years of serving, I have made good money, okay? So I'm not saying, I don't want this to sound like a money thing. And it was always like a choice too, and I get it. And there's a lot of perks working in a restaurant, and I'll tell you in a minute. So, I've always been able to support myself, and I've been to college, I have a degree, I could do other stuff. But I always make more money in a restaurant. And so, and just me personally, there's just a lot of things I like about restaurants. So I've stayed. So when I was 16, I first started working in a restaurant, and it's been like that ever since, and I'm 32. But in Georgia, they make $2 an hour. And so what it would be like in Georgia is it would be like if you don't, you could even owe money. Like a lot of times in Georgia, we owed money. And in my opinion, just because now I live in Minnesota and I used to serve in the South, it's a lot easier to serve up here because in the South, there was a lot of struggles that I don't want to talk about, but I don't want to offend anybody. But there is a big difference. So when I decided to move here to Minnesota, we make I think $9 an hour minimum. So that alone makes a big difference. You know what I mean? On your serving, and the food costs a little more money here. The economy is better here. So all that has been gravy, right? So, but, something that is not talked about is the sacrifices that we make. And I know it's part of the job, and a lot of people have a lot of jobs where they have to do the same kind of schedule as us. But I just want you guys to think about something. So, if you're a server, you have to work, pretty much, you work every weekend. You work nighttime. A lot of us, I've always worked split shifts. So that means, I work in the morning, I have a couple hours in the day, 2 hours or something, to do what I need to do or to relax. And then I have to go back and close. And so it's really hard, even to, dating is really hard. It's hard to find somebody on your level that, understands your schedule. Because if you date somebody that's, a little 9 to 5er, it just doesn't vibe. In my opinion, it didn't ever work out for me. So, I just think that we have, really sacrificed as part of our job working on the weekends and holidays and stuff like that. And it's you see people, right? Your customers or your friends or your family, and you serve them, but it's not the same. You can't talk the same. You can't sit and hang out. You can't have a drink. You're working. So they think you're hanging out, but really, you're not. You're thinking about the stuff you got to do in the back and blah, blah, blah. Part of being a server is you have to, maintain self-control always. And it's crazy. Because people will tell you crazy stuff. People will get mad about stuff. A big thing is you have to remain calm always. If y'all don't realize it, but there might be hell in the kitchen going on, and you don't know. We have to come out and smile. There can literally be, a fire in the kitchen, okay, guys? And we have to be yay! So, that is kind of a part that I do feel is a sacrifice. What I love about serving is that people can give you good tips. People are excited to see you. It really took my customers to really convince me that we make experiences better. We have the power. What's wonderful in this is we have the power to make your birthday better, your party better, your night better. I swear food and drink taste better. Your food can be whatever's, but if we're nice and have a good time, you know what I mean? That just makes the experience better. But the down part of it is people give you how much they think you owe. And that's been hard for me sometimes. My income depends on what someone thinks I deserve and what someone thinks is okay. Some of these people, they don't look at no percents, or they just think everybody should get $5, whether they spent $100 or $37. Also, the percentage of tips has really went up. Now we're on this like 18-20 thing, and a lot of people still live in the 5 and 10%. You know what I mean? And that's kind of hard to deal with. Like, you guys would have to know, like, you have to like smile, and people give you like $1 or they forget to tip you, and you still have to be like so courteous. Sometimes that is hard. But for me, a lot of times I look past it. I really believe like in serving that I can do like healing, and I can listen to people, and I can still have like a good personal connection, and like that couple extra dollars like doesn't make a difference because they affected my day too. Like, customers can make me happy too. And so, like I said, if you live your life to where you always work on weekends, you always work on the nighttime, you always work long hours, you always work holidays, you're not a normal person, you know what I mean? That is something that I feel like you get used to after a while, but then sometimes you just want to be like a regular person, So, I think that we sacrifice that, and like, yeah, sometimes we make great cash money. Sometimes we don't have to technically like report all the money that we make. But now I'm in a situation where like I now trying to like actually get a house or something like that, that does affect you. Like, just having a little server job is not going to get you some of the things that you want in life, But another part about this that I want to talk about is that, there's been a lot of jobs that have been like so up and down this year, but literally for restaurants in Minnesota, it was just like one day and oh well, we're closed for a few months. You open back up a little bit, and then we just close back down. And this time we don't have help like we had before, and this shit is getting for real, and it's getting like stressful. And it's just, like, it's literally making people, for me, I'm like, hell no, I need another job. Hell no, I need to do something different. Like, I need a couple things because the restaurant is, like, not keeping you stable. And that's something that nobody ever knew that. No one knew that, like, restaurants wouldn't be stable anymore. No one knew that some things wouldn't be a thing anymore. And we don't even know. And there's talks that, like, this shit is going to close down even more, the entire country when the president changes. That's a possibility. We have no idea the direction of coronavirus. We have no idea. And you would never, ever, ever think that being a waitress in a restaurant, you can have such a high risk for, like, coronavirus and how this shit works. Like, how people sitting in one place for a while and, all that blah, blah, blah that they talk about. So it was hard too. Like, listen, I'm nothing like the medical field. The medical field, they work their long hours. They have a lot more risk than me. They have a whole nother thing that I know nothing about, but I respect. But, it is even kind of scary to serve when you're in a restaurant. And the thing that was hard for me was that, so whenever we did only to go the first time, there were so many people, like, bitching about it. Like, they were bitching that, like, we couldn't bring them food to their table. Like, that they couldn't sit and have a margarita and eat in a restaurant. And, like, I get it. I like to eat at a restaurant, too. But literally, us as servers, because we make money every day. So, like, this whole random, like, oh, the restaurant's closing, you don't have a job tomorrow. Like, we're trying to figure out meal planning for a month. And you're sitting here bitching about you only got to get to go, and that was hard for me to see that attitude, about the to go. And then this is what makes it worse, guys. So whenever we did finally reopen, like, it is and was a fight every day for people to put on their mask. And you can't be more than 6 people at a table. And please scan your menu. Like, that helps a lot, with touchies and all that stuff. So I think that, like, I'm trying to understand how people are so grateful for restaurants. And then when we do open, there are certain procedures that we have to do, but people are not compliant on that. And not understanding what, like, the up and downs that restaurants have went through. So it's a really hard time right now. Like, it's really just like this moment where you're like, what do you do? I love my job. I've been doing this for 16 years, guys, and like every now and again I get like all bitchy, and I think some of you old, veteran servers are like that too, where you're like, I'm tired of this. But after a few weeks, like, you miss it. Like, there's a lot of things. So I love making people laugh. Like I said, I love the personal connections. I love, you don't never know what people are going to tell you and shit like that. And like Mexican restaurants, people are way more relaxed and have a good time. And I love that. Like, I love to get people drunk and stuff like that. And I don't know, I feel like in American restaurants, people are a lot more like reserved and serious, and I'm too loud. I'm like too extra for all that. But like I said, I just feel like we keep having the sacrifice before that we have to work when everyone is off. Like when you hear everybody talk about, yay, it's Friday, and oh, fuck Monday, like that stuff irritates the shit out of me. But anyways, like I said, this is just me from my restaurant experience, in my opinion. But really has been on my mind about, the sacrifices that the restaurant people are having to make, that restaurants are having to make, and I feel like people are not understanding. If you go to some of these corporate restaurants, they have limited menus, and people don't get that. Like, if you don't work in it during this year and this pandemic, you have no idea how much supply and demand, how much things have quadrupled in price, and things like that, and having to get adjustment of payroll, how many people do you need for only to go, and stuff like that, and in Mexican restaurants, everybody wants a hell of a lot of chips and salsa. Irritates the shit out of me that stuff is free. Man, it's hard. It's like, some people, like, literally abuse that whole chips and salsa thing, and that is kind of hard and frustrating, and I wish people understood that. Like, it's hard to sell an appetizer. It's because everybody's like, oh, we're good with chips and salsa. And they want more and more, and they want to share a plate, and you can't sell a dessert. And you're kind of like, well, damn. But anyways, this is just my ramblings about working in a restaurant and what it's been hard this year. And I'm kind of at the point where I'm pretty frustrated. And I'm really hoping that things get better soon. But I literally have no idea what's going to happen. I have none of us do, obviously, but, like, we have no idea when the restaurants are going to be serving again. We have no idea when we're going to be able to serve tables, So for all you other servers out there, for people in the restaurant, hang on too, man. You're not the only ones. Hang on, make a plan, make smart decisions. And, for me, I believe in the big man above, so he'll be taking care of me. And that's all I know. And I've had to really, so since I've made, pretty good money and I make cash on a regular basis, sometimes I'm a little bougie. Like, sometimes I like the best of everything, or I'll spend money because I'm like, oh, well, tomorrow I make more and stuff like that. And I'm literally having to go through a situation where I'm having to count out my bills and write them down in a list and work on them the little by little that I can every week, and not knowing where more income is going to come from. But I need to go through this. I need to go through struggling financially, you know what I mean, to be able to feel this, because this is literally going to make me a better person right now. And some people always go through this, but I'm not used to it. And so, like I said, in that part, that's good for me to budget, to understand what's important, to have priorities. Like, literally, I'm, itching to spend money all the time because I'm bored. And, I can't do that. And that's okay that I'm getting my balls. And I'm like, no, this is not. I have to keep my priorities straight. So, that is the good thing. That is the wonderful light in all this. So, you guys hang in there, restaurant people, man. I respect you. We're here. We're going to be all right. Have a good night.